Hi, and welcome back to another AnyRPG Development Livestream. In these videos, I livestream the development of the AnyRPG Engine, a 100% free and open source role-playing game engine designed in Unity and written in C#. These videos are unscripted and give you a chance to take a behind-the-scenes look at the unfiltered, methodical side of software development. For more information on AnyRPG, be sure to check out AnyRPG.org, where you can find documentation on the engine, links to the full source code at the official GitHub repository, and downloadable versions of AnyRPG Alpha, a free game designed to showcase the features of the AnyRPG engine. If you would like to see more of this type of content in the future, be sure to like the videos, subscribe to the Cohesion YouTube channel, or just leave a message in the comments telling me what you'd like to see. In today's episode, we will be continuing our creation of a Unity package for AnyRPG, and we'll be creating the combat prefabs. So in our last episode, we were able to get through our main quest chain right up to the point where we had the Night of the Living Bunny event. So what we need to do now is create versions of the bunnies and the bunny spawners. And then we need to put our example units in them. So under unit spawners, we'll need to create a directory like that under the prefabs directory of examples. So going into the examples directory, we have our prefabs and we have a unit spawner. Okay, that's good. We already have one of those directories, so we'll just move that one in there. And then we have our example angry reanimated bunny unit. And we'll want to pull him down into the character AI prefab directory. And then we'll open up that prefab, get rid of the cartoon rabbit model. We will need to add a few components to him. First, we're just going to change everything here so it says example. So example skinning, example leather, we don't need the interaction panel image because that's handled by the system configuration manager now. His default attack animation profile is going to be the human unarmed attacks, because basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace every single unit with like an UMA version so that they can still attack, because if we replace them with just like squares, they're not going to be able to. And since he's an UMA model, his new target is now the head. And we just need to change his faction, and that looks good. So what we want to do now is add a character animation event receiver to him and set his unit on it. Basically, this just receives the events from the attack animations and forwards them to the appropriate script, like the combat script or things like that. And then we also want to add a dynamic character avatar and an animator. So I'm just going to grab the dynamic character avatar off Invincible here. Right, no, I see, I gotta double click. No, now it's showing me him. Okay. Alright, anyway, copy component and then go back to the example angry reanimated bunny. and then paste component as new, and that looks okay. And then we just want to add an animator component, and that I think looks okay. Let me just check example Sir Invincible's animator component, and we do set the character animation controller on it. So we'll go to example angry reanimated bunny and just set the AnyRPG character animation controller. That looks good. I'm just going to check my example witch unit here, because I think when I put her apply root motion, that's the problem. I was trying to figure out why my witch was walking all weird, and I think it's because I forgot to take off apply root motion on her animator, and there must have been like some root motion in one of the animations I was using, which is why she was getting desynced. That's kind of interesting. You know what? Actually, I kind of want to test that theory real quickly here. Example, no, example Halloween load game manager, and let's just press play. Okay, and new game. Oh yeah, it works. Cool. Her animation freezes up now, and we expect that actually because we're trying to apply a humanoid animation to her generic non-humanoid model, but her character doesn't become desynced anymore. So yeah, it looks like that was kind of silly. The reason my witch was skating around before and not moving was because I forgot to bunch of issues. I forgot to put the new variables, like the booleans and triggers and stuff, in the new animation controller I made, and also because I had forgotten to set the animations to loop for the ones that needed to, and apparently forgot to take off root motion. But now our witch is working, so there was actually nothing wrong with those animations in our Halloween game. So awesome, that's good to know. Let's get out of there and just get back to that little, yeah, taking a little break there from our normal game, and let's get back to our normal one now. So we'll go back to, we have the example angry reanimated bunny unit, and now we need to go to his spawner and open that up, and his spawner is set to spawn an angry reanimated bunny unit, and we want instead to pick up the example angry reanimated bunny unit. And the quest prerequisite will be example Night of the Living Bunnies. Okay, that looks good. So then what we want to do is we want to go to the example combat scene and switch over to our scene here, go out of 2D mode, hit F to focus on our portal, which will bring us back, and let's just, where are we here? That's Z forward. So we'll just start, let's see, the angry reanimated bunny is just right up front here, so we'll grab an example angry reanimated bunny spawner, put him like right there, and we'll just create an empty game object to hold those. So angry reanimated bunny spawners, these things here. So Control D to duplicate, pull that up here, Control D to duplicate, pull that up here, Control D to duplicate, pull that down there. Now we have a bunch of them. Hold down Control to grab all of them and put them into the spawner there. And then that looks good. Maybe, yeah, that's fine. Okay, and our example portal is back there. So let's just go test that out now. So we can go back to our example load game scene. Oh, okay, right. Unity is freezing up, I think. Yeah, Unity's freezing up. This might have something to do with references to UMA characters. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that was interesting. I don't know how we ended up, why we're trying to look at Sir Invincible. And we can't get out of him. This is probably once again due to that UMA context thing being created. Maybe if I click on console over here, it'll get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and now I can get back out. So let's try that again. Example load game manager. So we'll go to play and we'll go to load game and we'll find our character here. It was this guy in our example default scene. And he now has the Night of the Living Bunnies, so we'll speed him up and teleport combat scene. And there's no nav mesh in the combat scene, so I need to go fix that. So we're going to go to the combat example combat scene and the environment, and the quad should be static. And now we can go to navigation and hit bake, and the whole thing turns blue, and now we have a nav mesh. So let's go back to the example load game manager. That's kind of an interesting error right there. I don't know, maybe that's related to the nav mesh. Let's just try loading that up and see what happens again. Okay, and head over to our example combat scene. No, okay. Could not set runtime animator controller. Let's see what line this is on here. It's like something to do with the animator controller on the bunny units that I made, but we need to figure out what line exactly. If override controller equals null, then we're supposed to create a new override controller, but apparently the override controller is not null. So let's go take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's like it's trying to do it like twice per bunny that spawns or something. We need to look at these angry reanimated bunny units here and just figure out what's happening there. Oh, there, we just don't have an animator controller right there. I think that might be the issue. Let's try that again. Okay, that's better. Looks like I forgot to bake the light in this scene again, so we'll just save the game so we're in the right scene. Close that, and then we need to go back into our example combat scene, and we just got to go to the lighting tab here and hit generate lighting, and this should be really quick because the level's just like a quad with nothing on it, and it wants to take 10 minutes to bake a quad with nothing on it. That's kind of amazing. I think we're just going to cancel that and uncheck baked and just keep real time on. Hopefully that's a little faster. And I apologize if apparently YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Which is kind of odd. I mean, I have like 300 megabit downstream and 75 megabit upstream, or at least on my internet, so I shouldn't be seeing streaming buffering issues like that. Unless my ISP is doing maintenance in the middle of the night or something. Okay, good. It looks like our real-time lighting on our tiny little quad is now done. So let's go back to the example load game manager and hit play. And then go and load our player in here. Okay, that's better. Now we've got some. Okay, very cool. And now we have our angry reanimated bunnies, which are definitely not bunnies. Which spell is on here? Big fireball. Let's cast our big fireball. Okay, interesting. Oh, you know what? My player unit is using his other attacks still. This guy's using the right attacks though. Okay. Example leather. Inventory. Oh, you know what? Right. I don't have an inventory. Of course. I'm going to have to do something about that. So let's go back to our default scene here. I'm gonna have to, whoops, I forgot to save that. That's okay. Let's see, if I look in our example load game manager here, I need to check and see, I'm not giving my character like a default bag, I don't think. So we have the default backpack item and the default bank bag item. And those are actually references to things in the example folder, like to descriptible objects. So if we look in the examples folder and we look at our resources and then items, bags, there we have an example backpack and an example bank right there. But if we go into the inventory manager here, I don't think we're putting this, like giving our character the default backpack. Got to fix the formatting here, so Control A, K, F, and that'll fix it up. So let's look for the default backpack item name here and see where that's used. So we have this right here, and let's see where that's called from. And it's called from new game. Okay, so right here what we're doing is basically we're hard coding this to stick our default backpack into our bank. And that's part of AnyRPG, but skipped frames detected 16% 5 minutes ago. Sorry, my streaming messages are still up here. I don't know how long it takes this this issue to go away on YouTube. Okay. Anyway, so if we look, what we want to do basically is we don't want this to be hard-coded to stick our backpack in the bank by default. So this is somewhere actually where we want to stick like an option in the game manager or something. So let's see, what's the best way to do this? It's going to be basically just to add like some sort of boolean to that as an option. So let's put it like right here, I guess. Serialize field, and then this can be a private bool equip default backpack, and it'll be true by default. And then want to do is when we create the default backpack, so go down into default backpack. Let's just make a note on that. If false, default backpack goes in bank. Okay, so then we want to go down to the default backpack item name, find all references to it, and basically first we need to do a couple checks. We need to make sure that the default backpack item name is not null, and also that it's not string.empty. Then we can use it, and what we want to do here is make this not equip default backpack. And then what happens then is equip default backpack is set to true, then this variable gets set to false, which means that it won't be added to the bank automatically. It will be added to our inventory. And when you attempt to add a backpack to your inventory and you don't have a backpack in your inventory, the game should theoretically just like auto-equip it for you. So let's try that out. However, that, of course, that only happens on a new game. So we will test that out, but first, let's take our character here, and in, let's see, we have a bank prefab, I think. Yeah, AnyRPG bank chest interactable here. So we need to basically make a copy of these. We're just going to stick a cube on it. And bank chest interactable. This is going to be an example bank chest interactable. And it's going to go in the interactables directory under prefabs for our examples. And then what we want to do is just open this thing up, and instead of the bank chest model, let's just look at our scene for a second. We can just put a cube right there. So we're just going to create a 3D object, a cube. Yep, that's pretty much the right size, I think. Let's just look at our interactable here. Okay, we can make our cube a little bigger just to match the size of that. So sure, 2, 2, and 2. And I guess we're going to have to place our cube's location up by 1 on the Y, and then we pretty much match completely, and then we can just get rid of this model right here. And let's change this to, how about yellow, because it's like gold kind of maybe. Okay, looks good. So then we want to take this bank chest interactable here and change a couple of things. So this is going to be an example storage chest. Oh wait, you know what, interaction panel title, those don't matter. Those can stay the same. But the name and the display name should be set to that. We can remove this coin bag thing because that is now handled by the system configuration manager. The quest is example, I got the good stuff, and we're going to change that to example, I got the good stuff. Okay, and that's good. That's our bank chest. So we want to go back into our example default scene here. look at our default spawn location, hit F to focus on it, and we'll just stick our bank chest like right there. So example bank chest interactable, sure, like right there, why not? Okay, that looks good. And our GM vendor has some quests on him, and we actually need to put those on our example GM vendor. Oh, I think we have UMA context issues again, and yeah, Unity's freezing up. Yeah, there's the UMA context. Okay, well, I guess we're just stuck waiting for Unity to stop freezing up. I'm just going to save the scene here. Actually, this kind of sucks because it's got an UMA context in it, so I don't know if that UMA context is going to get saved with the scene or not. Let's delete it and save the scene. And then what were we going to do next? Right, we're trying to get a look at our GM vendor. Let's just go back to our example, load game manager, and then our GM vendor. Let's take a look at him. He has a bunch of items, and he's also a quest giver, and he has I got the good stuff. So we want to copy that component, and we want to go onto our example UMA vendor, and we want to paste the component as new and change that to example I got the good stuff. And that should be okay. So let's save that and see. Now we have two things to test. First thing is, does a new game result in us getting a backpack? And the second thing is, can we now get the quest to remove the backpack on our existing character? So let's try the one on our existing character first here. Okay, good. And our example UMA vendor now has a quest. And if we go over to the example storage chest, and we can complete it, and then we've got a bag which we can put in there. Okay, cool. We're still using the wrong icons for those bags. We shouldn't be using those icons. We should be using our example bag icons, but that's good. It means we have that part of the quest done. So let's save our game, and we're just going to pop out of it for a second, and then we need to go fix up those bags. So let's go back to the example backpack here. Okay, interesting. Oh, I think I know what happened. Your example backpack and bank get created when the game gets started. And so because we were referring to the regular bank and the regular backpack, those were basically like added permanently to our save file. So we can confirm that just by going play and new game. Interesting. It told us our inventory was full. So we actually need to do that a little bit differently. We actually, I think, need to automatically just try to use the item instead. So let's exit the game and just go fix that in the code. So basically, if equip default backpack then bag.use, else add item bag true. Okay, so basically what that'll do is if we have that value, that setting value set to equip the default backpack, we're going to use the bag, which should equip it. So let's just try that out and make sure that works. And go to new game. There we go, that's better. And I've got a bag, and I can open that up, and I get example backpack. Okay, so right, this whole window was designed with the idea of this never being wider than the name, like 20 slot bag or something. We have this. We can fix that up later, but that's not really a huge deal for now. The point is basically that by changing that option, that works for us. So I am happy with that. We have both of those scenarios working, so now we should be able to go in and right, also we have the proper icon in this bag now, which proves my theory that it was referencing the old items at the time of creation and carried those through afterwards. So what we'll do now is we'll just shut this down, and we will go actually back into the game. We'll load up our saved game, and now we should be able to go actually loot the leather from those bunnies. So we'll go down to our sample character here, and he's got his bag, and we want to go over to the combat zone. Okay, and actually, you know what? Let me fix the fireball right now as well. I need to do that. So basically the issue is, and I'll see here, AnyRPG big fireball there. If we look at the fireball, it's got a script called projectile script on it. So for our fireball spells, we're just using the standard. What else we need? Right, sphere collider is trigger. Okay, so what I need to do actually is I need to make pretty much a copy of that, kind of. Actually, no, I need to make a completely new thing. So what's going to be the best way to do this here? I'm just going to create an empty what is that? No, I created the wrong object. Whoops. Let's delete that. I am going to create a sphere, and it needs a sphere collider that's a trigger. The material should be AnyRPG red. And the component on it needs to be projectile script. And then we can rename this and save that to AnyRPG example fireball. And then we can pull it into our prefabs directory. I guess into our shapes directory, just for now. And then I actually need to duplicate that and make an example ice bolt as well. So we'll have the example ice bolt, which also has the projectile script, but instead of the red material, we'll be doing the AnyRPG blue material on it. Okay, that looks good. And now I need to go into my resources folder here. And let's see, I think it's on Direct Effects Projectile. So I have my big fireball. Yeah, here we go. Red sphere 1 meter. And this is where I need example fireball. And the healing projectile. Let's just go through and change all those first. I think I'll make a green one with the projectile script too. So example fireball, example fireball. This one I actually need example ice bolt. And yeah, okay, let's go make, we can remove that from the scene because we don't need it in there. And then we'll go back to our prefabs directory, create a new folder, call it projectiles, I guess. And we will duplicate the ice bolt. And example green ball, I guess. Sure. And then AnyRPG green material. And that looks okay. So now we go back into our projectile effects. And change out the rest of them. So that one's got example fireball. This one needs green ball. The fairy meteor also needs green ball. The healing missile needs green ball. The ice bolt looks okay. The rune sword healing projectile needs green ball. And the tornado needs something entirely new. So we should probably make that as well. The tornado is basically like just a gray cube. So we'll go back. We'll make a, you know what? Gray cube 2 meters. Yeah, that's like pretty much exactly what the tornado is. So maybe I think what I'll do for now, I just want to see how this looks. Basically, we will go to our projectiles over here, go to the tornado, and just use the gray cube 2 meters. Okay, so that's basically all of our projectiles covered. So then let's load the game, and we'll go test those out now. So load game, go down to our player here, head over to the combat zone. Let's just save this here. Target one of these guys, shoot a fireball. Oh yeah! Oh, it moves. Awesome. Awesome. And the dots on him too, it's taken away. Okay, that's very cool. This is our white hit. Yeah. Okay, good. And this is our loot. I can take it, I can open it up. I've got leather in my inventory. And I killed properly one unit. I learned my skinning. Use solar radiation. I'm gonna have to figure out where that went on my bars. Maybe, example solar radiation. Okay, solar radiation is 0, so we're gonna hit 0. Yeah, that's good. That's what solar radiation, it's a yellow spell, so that looks good. Yeah, good. We got leather. And I got credit for using solar radiation. I'm just gonna dot up like, maybe no, I'm not. Okay, well then I'll shoot a fireball. Oh, yeah, at him I guess. And then use solar radiation, and then shoot a fireball at him. And then shoot a fireball at him. Okay. And shoot a fireball at him. Alright, and use solar radiation again. Shoot a fireball. I'm gonna have to fix their walking animations as well, but we'll get to that in a little bit here. Okay, good. And now I can take all. I AoE loot them properly, so that's good. The AoE loot is working, and I have all my solar radiation. Everything looks good. So let's just save this. Look in our backpack. We have a stack of 6 leather armor, so that's also good. Now we can go back to our default scene. And we should be able to go turn this in. And null reference. Awesome. Let's figure out what exactly is the null reference for. Reward button dot my describable dot my name. So it looks like the reward button for that quest has invalid describables. We'll have to fix this null reference, but first let's go up and look at the rewards for that quest. So that particular quest was Night of the Living Bunnies. So we'll look at the example version of it, and very likely, where's our rewards? Nope, that was not the quest. Right, so let's go back and look at our apprentice craftsman. I think the actual quest we turned in, if we can find it here, I think it was just a light suit of armor? There we go. Yeah, okay, so we don't have example fighter's leather boots. Our actual name is just example leather boots. So we'll fix that, and then we'll go in and we'll fix that null reference as well. Okay, that looks good. So we can save that prefab, and then let's go back in and fix the null reference. So basically, right here, what we want to do is we have the reward buttons. We know they're not null, so I think we actually did this before. Yeah, right there. It's silly. We put this into the ability rewards, but then we didn't do it anywhere else. And basically, this problem exists everywhere where we're giving rewards. So we should just put it everywhere. So that looks good. That looks good. Same here. Faction rewards. We'll want to put that in the middle of it. And then we'll want to put it as well right here. Okay. And then now we shouldn't even if we have an invalid item in there, we shouldn't get that error anymore. So let's hit play. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let's just test that. Let's make an invalid item one of them, and let's make the other 4 valid items. So we'll, whoops, Control Z, call this example leather pants 1, 2, 3. Should not find those. So now we can go into the example load game manager. Oh, 9. Read comments. Yeah, sorry, Sergio. I see. Yeah, looking at the comments now. When I'm doing these, I tend to have actually like 2 windows open, and sometimes one of the windows is so big it actually ends up covering up the comments. Let's go to load game here and load. Yeah, I'm a bit of a night owl. It's 2 a.m. here where I'm filming right now. Okay, we can. Perfect. So that's good. Looking at this now, you can see we have 4 items. We have the boots, the chest, the gloves, and the shoulders. And if we pause that and then go back and look at our quest, you can see that the pants were the ones we gave the invalid item name to. So that's perfect because it means that we're not getting a null reference for having a wrong name. It's just basically just not going to make that as a valid reward. So let's just change that, whoops, back here to something valid and save that and hit OK, or hit play, and then load our game up. And let's go turn that in. $20 is pretty good, I think. Like even my motherboard, I think, is like 22 degrees just because of the heat inside the case at most times. Although fan 100% must get a little noisy. This looks okay. We can complete that quest. And now let's try equipping everything. Okay, awesome. our example leather gear works here. A god character, like, like basically an invincible character. I don't like have that ability, like just to specifically make a character invincible. But when you look in, I'll show you here basically the load game manager. I think it's in the player manager, wherever I have that. There, initial level right there. Basically, you could set the initial level to anything you want. There's no like max level cap or something, and you could set the initial level, I don't know, to like 100 or 20 or something, which would make you severely overpowered. Although Although, of course, if you have dynamic level scaling on all the unit spawners, then they're all going to be the same level as you anyway. But currently, like, I don't have anything specific functionality to do that. I think it would be kind of cool. Like right now, there's no chat in here, and I want to add the ability to actually type stuff into the chat. And then there's no max level right now in the game. I don't actually have like a level cap coded in there. I mean, you could probably put like level 1000. It'll work. It'll just give him the stats based on the stat formula. He'd have like 100,000 hit points or something. I don't have flying in there yet either, no. So definitely, like, when I add the ability for like down here, you could hit chat and you could type in and your character will like say something. It won't really do much because there's no multiplayer yet, but you should be able to maybe see him say something on screen. And then in there, I'll add like console commands like like slash anything, basically like slash dance or slash god mode or something like that. Yeah, I'll definitely be doing that at that time when I add in the chat ability into the console. Okay, awesome. So now we have the quest here to go collect this stuff. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to make like gathering prefabs for this. Which game assets page? Oops. So let's just make sure we got that saved, and then we'll exit out here. And so now I need to make a whole pile of sample gathering prefabs. And I think those are in alpha. Let me just check interactables gathering. Do you know, I believe I actually, let me check if I made gathering sample prefabs or not yet. Resources, prefabs, interactables, gathering. Oh, I just made like really generic ones. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna directly copy these ones then. Yeah, because we need all these basically. So then I'll bring those down into the interactable gathering directory in the examples directory here. And change those all. Example birch tree logging node. Example fishing white mullet nodes. Example flax interactable node. Example herbalism brown mushroom nodes. And this one, I'm just going to take the variant name off of it. And let's see, I actually need like a tree prefab now. So I guess I'll make a tree prefab cube. What is this green cube? 2 meters. You know what? That's kind of like a tree. Actually, this brown cube 2 meters. Yeah, sure, brown cube 2 meters. That'll do for our tree. So now I want to go back into my gathering prefab and look at my birch tree and just change that with brown cube 2 meters. And then for our example white mullet, we will take our probably just white sphere. I don't really need anything fancier than that. And this will be example fishing and example raw white mullet. That looks okay. And then we have our example flax node. So for a flax node, I think I'm just going to use the green cube 2 meters and change that to example herbalism. The interactable name can be example flax, and then the item drop table contains example flax, and we can make a bunch of it drop by popping this stuff in here. Having multiple copies of the same item is totally valid. And let's see, we'll do the same for the brown mushroom node. So we'll just use the brown cube 2 meters. We'll change that to example herbalism and change that to the example brown mushroom. And then for the marsh reed node, we'll change that prefab to just the green cube. And change that to example herbalism and example swamp reed. And that looks okay. And then for the spotted mushroom node, we'll change that example name to example spotted mushrooms. Oh, the marsh reed, no wonder I kept on getting that null thing right here because we didn't give it an interactable name. Example marsh reed. And then change these to the example spotted mushrooms. And then example herbalism. And the model mushrooms, These are spotted mushrooms, right? So I guess a 2-meter tall red cube will be okay. And our mining node, this is going to be example iron ore. And we'll do the example gray cube. And the ability is example mining. And then we have a bunch of different things that can come out of it. We've got some example iron ore, some example bluestone, some more example iron ore. Okay, good, that looks good. And that's basically all the prefabs. So let's go back into the example default scene. And go to the scene, click F for default spawn location, and then I'm just going to put all the nodes like back here. So let's go into the gathering example directory. I'll stick a birch tree logging node right there, a fishing white mullet node right there, a flax interactable node right there, a herbalism brown mushroom node right here, a marsh reed node there, a spotted mushroom node there, and an iron mining node right here. Okay, good. So now we have a bunch of prefabs in there, and we will need to be able to craft these things, so we might as well just go ahead and make a copy of our crafting table. So we have a crafting table interactable prefab right here, and we'll need to make a copy of that. And this will be our example crafting table interactable prefab, and we'll move that down into the interactables directory there. And then just open that up, and we really don't need any of this stuff, but I'm just going to keep it there until I create some cubes. So let's create a 3D cube, and we'll set it to the AnyRPG brown material, and maybe make it 2 by 2 by 2. Maybe make it look like an actual table. Set the cube up. Whoops, not rotation. Let's try that again. We want position 1 on the Y. You know what? Actually, let's just keep it short, and maybe 0.5 on the Y. There, that's kind of like a table. We'll make you know what? We can do even better than that. We can actually make a table. Why not? Let's just go all the way here. So the scale on the Y is going to be like 0.2. We're going to move that up to like 1. We'll call this tabletop. And then let's just duplicate that, and we'll call that table leg. And we'll just attach it to the tabletop there, and in this case let's do like 0.1, 0.1, y5, sure, why not? And then move that one down to like -2.5, and move its position on the X over to like 1, 0.2. You know what? is going to be easier than this. Let me just uncheck the table right there, and I'm going to use one of my favorite things, the vertex grab. So I hit W to move, and then I hit V to grab this vertex right here, and then I just snap it over to that vertex there. Good. We're going to make a few more legs and just use the same trick, basically V, vertex grab, snap it over, grab another leg, V, vertex grab, snap it over, and grab another leg. Gotta actually get a hold of it here. V, vertex grab, snap it over. Perfect. Now we got a table. Awesome. So then that's good. We'll just get rid of these existing items on it, and now we have a nice looking, really simple crafting table here. Okay, and we'll just make sure the box collider's about the right size. That looks good. So let's save our example crafting table, and I guess we can move it into the scene here. So we'll put our example crafting table like right there. And then let's just open this prefab up and make sure we're referring to a bunch of example stuff. So look at all our prerequisites, make sure they're all fine, good. So we have example woodworking, and that gives us the example woodworking ability. We have example tailoring, and that gives us the tailoring ability. We have example jewelry, and that gives us the jewelry ability. We have example leatherworking, and that gives us the leatherworking ability. And this will be the example crafting table. And the interactable name is example crafting table. And that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll save that, pop out of there, and then we also, in our interactables up here, probably have our forge, right? We have our blacksmithing forge. Alright, so we need to make a copy of that as well. We will call that our example blacksmithing forge interactable prefab, and pull that down into our example interactables here. And example anvil is fine. It doesn't have a title like the crafting table does. Example blacksmithing is fine. And example blacksmithing. Okay, and that inanimate unit basically gives us our unit frame target. So then let's open that up. And we have like a little anvil here. So let's make a little anvil here. We'll make a cube, and we'll set that cube to like 0.5, 0.5, and then make it gray. So AnyRPG gray. And then we'll duplicate the cube, and we'll rotate it. Holding down the control key, I think, yeah, there we go. We'll get nice even rotation to -90, that looks fine. And then let's move this thing up to, you know what, actually I don't even think we need to move it up. Yeah, maybe we do, okay. Alright, so change our position to 0.5 maybe. Let's just look at that. No, maybe 0.25? Yeah, okay, good. And then we want to rotate it some more, so I'm going to hold down the control key, flip that. Good. So now we have an anvil. Let's take the other one out of there. And that's a little bit of a funny looking anvil, but we're not trying to really do anything fancy right now. So let's stick that basically right here. I'm just going to hit W, move it up a little bit so we can see the bottom of it, I guess. Okay, that looks good. I think that's everything that we need to do to get out of the first scene as far as the zombie attack event. So let's go back into our example load game manager, hit play, and see how much of that stuff we just added worked. Okay, so I need birch. Okay, I need flax. Actually don't need mushrooms yet, or marshreed, but yeah, we'll grab some anyway. I don't need the spotted mushrooms, I do need the iron. And I think I still need some more iron, yeah. And now I need some more flax. And we'll just wait for that to respawn again. Okay, cool. That quest is done. We can complete that now. And it looks like now we get to go over and use our crafting table. So we'll make an example birch wood. We will make all of our linen. We'll make our iron bars. And what else? I think I forgot the jewelry. Yeah, the polished gem. Okay. So that's good. And then go back to our crafting table, go to jewelry, and make a polished blue gem. Awesome, that's working. So now we can go back to this guy here, hit complete, and accept the fine robes, the dragon's blade, the gem enshrined staff, and a heavy suit of armor. Good. So now we can go back over here and start making all that stuff. So initiates staff. Good. We'll craft the cloth stuff. I'm just going to actually make a 10-slot bag as well and equip that so that we have more room in our bags. And I still need to do the cloth robe and the gloves of hammer. Okay, and then I need to go over here and do the example dragon blade. And I need to actually go into the make the recipes for some of this stuff too, it looks like. So we'll need to save the game right here because it looks like I forgot to do the recipes for the invisible armor stuff here. So let's go into resources, and where are those going to be here? Under example resources, that's what we want. Recipe blacksmithing, yeah, okay. So we need to go up into the alpha content up here and go to resources, recipe blacksmithing, and basically we want to just copy all these. Oh, yeah, sorry, Sergio, I just saw this. Yeah, basically, this game was inspired by World of Warcraft and FFX. No, which one is that? 14XIV. Yeah. The interface, at least, is based on like the standard sort of MMO stuff in there. But there was actually also like, whoops, Forsaken World was another one, and then like maybe a little bit of inspiration from Zelda as well. But those are the main games that inspired me. Which one? Which one is SAO? Oh, Sword Art Online. Maybe. Never heard of it. Yeah, never heard of that one before. But yeah, basically, like the goal is to have pretty much all the functionality that you would have in the games that I listed are available by the time I'm done this. Although, I mean, the whole idea, of course, being any RPG is that you could really make any variety of RPG. So once I've completed, sort of the main features that are available in those styles of RPGs, I'm definitely open to adding like mechanics and stuff from other role-playing games as options for sure. Yeah, like, do I game on my PC? Definitely. Um, I have like 20 World of Warcraft characters at level 110. I think I have like every class in Final Fantasy Online maxed at like level 60 when that was actually the level cap as well. Okay, actually these are all example blacksmithing, so I can change those all at the same time. And they all actually have linen in common, so I can change all their example linens at the same time. They all use iron bars, so luckily I can change those all at the same time. Yeah, I bought the GTX 750. Like, I mean, it's a little old, honestly. I think I built this PC more than 5 years ago. I'm actually having like troubles with it now. It's so old that like my motherboard doesn't have USB 3.1 on it, it's only got USB 3.0, so my Android phone can't transfer at like full speed and stuff like that. But yeah, typically what I like to do when I'm buying a video card, is get like, I don't know how to explain it really, the cheapest good card I can find. Like I'll go on what's in a good example here, like Tom's Hardware Guide, and basically like he's got sort of this review thing here. I'll just knock off with no script so we can actually see that. Wow, lots of stuff happened there. And then like the best picks or the reviews or something like that. And then I just basically look at like the comparison. Let's see here. Performance comparison video cards. And usually looking for something like this, and I just go down until I find like a card that I can afford that's sort of as near to the top of the list as possible. And the GTX 750 was like, it's definitely good enough for what I do, for what I was doing. I mean, I had running at full 1080p with like 60 frames a second in Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft. I know those aren't like hugely graphics intensive games, but I did have like decent frame rates in Battlefield 4, which is the newer Frostbite engine. Yeah, I think the Intel Atom processors, I'm not sure what's like, what are the specs on those? How many cores? Oh wow, actually they come in up to 16 cores. That's not bad at all. But yeah, I haven't really done like much laptop gaming. When I looked at the prices of like actual gaming laptops, they cost way more than a PC to build. I mean, you can like build like a good gaming PC for less than $1,000, but like a decent gaming laptop is going to be like 2,500, I think, for the like the Alienware ones and stuff I was looking at. Example, invisible plate gloves. Change that to the plate gloves. But yeah, I mean, I also build my own PCs too, so I get to pick and choose the parts that I want for them. Oh wow. Oh ouch. Yeah, that's definitely that's tough. Um, when it comes to like a gaming PC, the biggest thing for me is the number of CPU cores available. And like I have four. Let's see, where's my CPU here? There we go. I've got four physical cores, but eight logical cores, and that's it's really important, your core count for sure. A CPU, like a computer with basically like with only two cores, is gonna it's gonna have a hard time running a lot of things because it has to swap out a lot of processes back and forth onto those cores and do a lot of task switching. Okay, so I think everything here says example now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, good. And those are all part of example blacksmithing. So if I jump back in the game, I should actually have the ability to build these items now. Yeah, it's a small and cheap entry level CPU for netbooks and small laptops. Yeah, definitely not not meant for gaming. Yeah. load game. Okay, awesome. And now we have our invisible plate material. Okay, and let's wander back over here and see if we can turn all these in. 1, 2, 3, 4 quests. Awesome. And we are prepared. Cool. Let's put on our invisible plate material. Yeah, it's working. So you can see this is pretty cool. We can have invisible material now, or invisible gear. So you can see everything on here. You know, he actually has the stuff equipped, but because there are no UMA models associated with our plate gear, because we don't have any like free plate models we can redistribute, it's invisible, but you can see it works. He's got 1100 hit points at level 5, so he's definitely getting all the stats there. So like desktop versions of graphic cards, they're not exactly the same. Like if you've ever looked at like a desktop graphics card, um, they're pretty humongous, and they're a lot thicker than most laptops. Oh hey, you know what? I forgot to change this. A hard day's work. I don't know if a hard day's work is yeah, wow, I might have to actually go back and load like an earlier game. Hard day's work, example hard day's work. I think I forgot to change, yeah, there, I totally did. That's why a hard day's work did not, whoops, 4, not 34. Okay, example gem and shrine staff, and the last one is example a heavy suit of armor. Actually, you know what? This might work. It depends how well my game is going to recognize this when I press play. I think mine's got like 2 or 3 gigs of RAM. You know, it's getting a little low for. Uh, it's getting a little low for like some newer games. Like I've seen games that want you to have a 12 gigs of RAM or something like that. But yeah, this is. I mean, that's pretty deep. Like 30 frames per second FPS is a little slow, you know. But like that's League of Legends 87 frames per second. Not bad. Yeah. Uh, I don't tend to go for super expensive graphics cards. You usually like, I mean, I think when I bought the GTX 750, it was a couple years old. You sort of wait until it price drops to the point where it's affordable. Um, wow, no, I think example fine robes. Okay, well, Dragon's Blade worked. Example gem and shrine staff. Example a heavy suit of armor. Yeah, I think a hard day's work is not gonna properly complete. So let's see, I'm going to use example warming ray. Oh, I need to change the spell prefab for that as well. But that looks pretty good. And that counted. So the next thing I need to do basically is I need to add the zombies to the monitor. Yeah, my CPU. Well, I mean, nice is relative, but I mean, it works for me. I've never had any problems with it. The i7 4790 notebook check. Yeah. It's the important thing for me basically is the core count that I've got, 4 actual physical cores and then 8 threads in there. So the graphics settings, let's actually just go take a look at those. If we go to menu and we go to settings and we look at video here, there are like these ones that I've included. I actually, let's see, return, continue. So I've got no shadows right now. And actually, you know what? It looks like it sort of turned down my draw distance because I can see like stuff in the background is getting a little fuzzier. And let me try just turning those on. And if we turn everything up to high here and continue, yeah, it looks like that actually, like it is affecting it. I haven't, like I added these graphics settings basically because they were included with the example that I was using there, but I think that's working. For the shadows, I'm not really sure why we're not getting shadows. Potato settings? I don't know what you mean by potato settings. Okay, let's make a warming ray prefab as well. So if we look at example warming ray, and one of these things has a prefab, yeah, AnyRPG God rays. So we'll just change that to yellow cube 2 meters. Good, that's a little better. Hit file save. The minimum resolution that the game has is basically going to be based on your video card. So what's happening here is when I go into the game and I go to the settings menu here and go to the video menu, then basically this list is pulled up from whatever my video card is advertising itself as supporting, like in conjunction with my monitor. So I actually, like, I've got like a 4K television hooked up to this, and you don't see the 4K options on this resolution because it's only showing what's available for the current monitor that I'm running this at. So it looks like 640 by 480. Unfortunately, inside the Unity editor, like if I swap this, it's not going to make any difference. I think that only actually makes a difference when you're playing, like you can see that this is definitely more than 640 by 480 resolution. So that only makes a difference, I think, when you're playing actually like in the compiled version of the game. Yeah, it just went back to 1920 by 1080 because it won't swap resolutions when you're in the editor, basically. So then I need a zombie attack spawner, and I will make an example zombie attack spawner. That's a good question. If you can run it in older versions of Windows. So when you go to the build settings right here, it basically just has a target platform as Windows, and the architecture is x86-64. I know that like Windows 7 was really compatible with Windows XP, and Windows 10's been pretty good for backwards compatibility with Windows 7. So I think you could probably do that. I doubt that you could run this in Windows 98, as Windows 98 is actually a different architecture. Windows 2000 and up is all based on the NT architecture, which is why anything from Windows 2000 and up is generally mostly forwards compatible. And then I haven't tried building for UWP, but that's obviously like just a Windows 10 thing. But since this is the Mac, PC, and Linux standalone, I think it should definitely work on Windows 7, possibly as far back as XP. So let's take this zombie attack spawner, move it down into our unit spawners here. And then we need to spawn, basically, we need now actually a new example zombie unit. So we'll set the prerequisites on this. Yeah, I'm going to try that basically. I think it would be kind of cool to do a WebGL version. Like, my goal is to basically release for all these things eventually. I definitely want to release it for Xbox. There's actually code in here to sort of handle like Xbox style controllers, but I haven't done that yet. But yeah, definitely want to release it for all platforms eventually. I think it would be totally cool to have a console version for sure. Somewhere in my character controller. I'm not sure. Let's see if I can actually find it here. Actually, you know what? I know exactly where the code is here. We have relative input. Character relative input. There we go. So I have like world relative input and camera relative input right here. And these settings basically allow you to do things like have Legend of Zelda style controller, where instead of the RPG like PC style controllers, I just have to actually go buy like an Xbox controller for my PC so that I can start testing with that as well. Although the character controller, like, I'm not an expert on it, my character controller definitely still has some issues. I've got a bit of work to do on it. There's lots of weird stuff to deal with when you're walking upstairs or dealing with free assets that aren't really cleaned up the greatest sometimes. So let's look at our zombie unit here. We're going to make a copy of him, and we will call him our example zombie unit. We'll move him down into our AI prefabs here. Where are we? Prefabs character AI there. Oh, whoops, I just moved him into the engine. Let's try this again. We're going to move him down into the examples folder. There we go, and I'm going to open his prefab up. We don't need the zombie model anymore. Change that to example 10 silver, and he's going to have his loot table dropping items based on example weakness and example life tether. He will drop, let's see, what is he even dropping right now? Condensed lesser elemental death. So we want an example condensed lesser elemental death and the example 8 slot bag. Oh wow, I didn't even know this thing existed. RPG Maker, eh? Is this just for like 2D games or something? Hmm. And we want to change his animation profile to basically the human unarmed attacks because we're going to be making him into a human zombie, just the same way we did with the bunnies. And we'll have to change that to head because the UMA units all have a head bone. His character name will be example zombie and example undead. And then we just basically need a dynamic character avatar on him. So we'll go over to master impassive here. We'll just copy his dynamic character avatar component, and then we go down to our example zombie unit and just paste component as new. 2D version, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't want to do a 2D version. You know, the funny thing is like there's a lot of tutorials out there for 2D games, and a lot of people actually start with 2D games as the first game they build when they use a Unity system. But to be totally honest, I actually find that just because of the fact that UMA exists, making 3D games is a lot easier because you don't have to bother like making all the sprites and stuff, and you don't need to know about graphics. And there's a lot of like really, really good 3D graphics on the Unity Asset Store. Um, so that's actually why I went the 3D version and just skipped the 2D completely. Not only that, but my goal was to make like an MMO eventually, which if I went 2D, it would require me basically rewriting it or ending up with something like, I can't remember, Ultima Online. So this I think is okay. I think we just need an animator component, any character animation event receiver. Whoops, am I still looking at, no, this is the zombie unit. Why? I think maybe I have to open the prefab. Yeah, there we go. And now I can pull, yeah, there we go. That's better. Like there's no, I haven't built in any cheat codes or anything into that yet. Those will be once I add the console stuff. And we have an animator, and I think I just need to swap that for the AnyRPG version. Okay, so now I've got an example zombie, and so I want to go into my example zombie attack spawner and give him my example zombie unit. Alright, and then we just need to go into the example combat scene, and then I got some angry reanimated bunny spawners over here. So why don't I stick my zombie spawners over here, and I'll just go in and make an empty, create empty, and this will be my zombie attack spawners. Move that into there, duplicate it. Oh, you know what? We only need one zombie attack spawner, right? Because the zombie attack is a wave of mobs, so there's intentionally only one at a time. Yeah, that should be okay. And then let's see if that works. So now we want to go back to our example load game manager. Basically, I'm going to release as soon as I get this example stuff done. And I think I'm maybe probably about 2 episodes away from that. Like the next version, which is going to be 0.6, I want to release that version simultaneously with the Unity package so that people can actually start like testing this out and building games with it. Okay, awesome. We have an example zombie. I got all my warming rays. My warming ray prefab is showing up. That's good. Let's try throwing a fireball at our example zombie. He's going to burn. Throw another fireball. Let's see, what's my other one here? Do I have like a blast of light? Yeah, okay, cool. So now he's got dots on him and he's dying. He's got some loot. He gave us some silver. Now he should despawn and we should get another zombie popping up here. Awesome, that works. We're going to hit him with a blast of light. Let's see what else we got. Earth Pulse. Just keep on casting. Oh, whoa, Stack Overflow exception. Right on. Wow. Okay, how did I make a Stack Overflow? Those are always fun. Interesting, something about ability effects and AoE targets. I wonder, it might actually be one of those abilities that I just cast. What was on number 4? Example Fireball. Is it that one? No. Fireball AoE? Nope. Wow, that is so weird. I have no idea how I caused that Stack Overflow. I am definitely going to have to go look into that later because that's like not something that we want. And for now it looks like our zombie attack is complete, which is cool. I'll fix that Stack Overflow at some point. Oh hey, and A Hard Day's Work actually updated properly too, and I think that probably has something to do with the fact that it's going to check all that quest progress whenever we update any of our prerequisites. Alright, and now all these are done. And we have our quests. Perfect, so kill the ringleader and kill 5 undead. So now the next thing we're going to need to do is make these example mobs and example spawners and then throw them into our combat zone. So I think for now, let's see, we're getting on almost 2 hours here on this stream, so I think we'll start the graveyard scene next. So I think I'll probably just rename this to like create, I don't know, like starting camp interactables or something, or like gathering interactables. Who knows? But yeah, I'll rename this to something more appropriate for what I actually ended up doing in here, and then we'll start the next series of examples in the next episode. So as always, thanks for joining, thanks for tuning in, and if you want to see anything the same or different in the future, just leave a note in the comments and let me know, and hopefully we'll see you soon with the next stream.